In the world of American politics, there's a phenomenon that's almost as predictable as the seasons. When former President Donald Trump feels cornered or threatened, he doubles down on divisive issues. The most familiar of these is immigration, where he continually riles up his base with inflammatory rhetoric. Yet, as Trump finds himself increasingly isolated and under pressure, especially with new polling data showing Vice President Kamala Harris pulling ahead, the familiar pattern emerges: attack, retreat, and deflect. Recent polling numbers have sent the Trump campaign scrambling as Harris continues to outperform expectations, especially in battleground states. At the same time, Trump is relying on his traditional playbook, spreading disinformation, evading tough interviews, and ramping up his attacks on immigrants, particularly legal migrants. This video will examine Trump's current tactics, the latest polling numbers, and what the data reveals about the American electorate's shifting preferences. Trump's response to dismal poll numbers. On the morning of October 8, 2024, Donald Trump awoke to poll numbers that painted a bleak picture of his re-election prospects. A new general election poll conducted by Morning Consult, with a sample size of over 11,000 likely voters, showed Vice President Kamala Harris leading Trump by 6 points, 51% to 45%. Another significant poll from the New York Times/Siena College poll, an A+ rated survey, revealed Harris leading by 3 points, 49% to 46%. This represents a notable shift from the previous month, when the same poll had the two candidates tied at 47%. Perhaps most startling for Trump is the breakdown of these polls. In a particularly revealing statistic, 9% of registered Republicans stated they plan to vote for Harris, a significant increase from the 5% who expressed this intention in the previous poll. Harris's strategic outreach to disaffected Republicans, including appearances alongside prominent Republican figures like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, seems to be bearing fruit. This bipartisan strategy, aimed at appealing to voters who are disillusioned with Trump's increasingly erratic behavior, is paying off. State-by-state breakdown, a tight race in crucial battlegrounds. The real battleground, however, lies in the key swing states that will ultimately decide the election. In Wisconsin, Harris holds a narrow 2-point lead, while in Pennsylvania and Michigan, she leads by 1 and 3 points, respectively. In Pennsylvania, a new poll commissioned by Republican groups, Liberty for Pennsylvania and the Bullfinch Group, showed Harris with a 4-point lead, 50% to Trump's 46%. For a Republican-commissioned poll to show Harris in the lead is a worrying sign for Trump's campaign, especially in a state he won in 2016 but narrowly lost in 2020. Moreover, the absentee and mail-in ballot returns in these states present further challenges for Trump. In Pennsylvania, for instance, 27,736 ballots had been submitted as of October 8th, with 71.7% coming from Democrats and only 19% from Republicans. With absentee ballots already favoring Democrats, Trump is struggling to catch up, relying instead on attacks and disinformation to sway public opinion. In Michigan, absentee ballot returns are outpacing previous years in Democratic strongholds like Detroit, a city vital to Harris's chances. The increased turnout in these areas could spell disaster for Trump, whose campaign continues to spin out of control in search of distractions. Trump's disinformation machine, attacking Harris and avoiding fact-checkers. Faced with deteriorating numbers and mounting pressure, Trump has returned to his well-worn strategy, ramping up his disinformation campaign. Recently, Trump avoided an interview on CBS 60 Minutes, citing his reluctance to be fact-checked. Instead, he let Vice President Harris take center stage, only to have his campaign attempt to discredit her appearance afterward. The Trump campaign's press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, issued a bizarre and poorly written statement demanding that CBS release the unedited transcript of Harris's interview, accusing the network of deceptively editing Harris's answers. In the statement, Levitt mocked Harris, stating that her answers amounted to a word salad, all while Trump himself is known for delivering rambling, incoherent speeches. While Trump attempts to project Harris as unfit for office, his own refusal to face the press and answer tough questions has become increasingly apparent. His recent appearances have been limited to right-wing propaganda networks like Fox News and Newsmax, where he continues to spread falsehoods with little to no pushback. This media cocoon allows Trump to remain shielded from the realities of his faltering campaign, while his base continues to be fed a steady diet of disinformation. Migrant attacks intensify. Trump plays to his base. As Trump's polling numbers decline, his attacks on migrants have only increased. This comes as no surprise, as his anti-immigrant rhetoric has long been a hallmark of his political brand. In a recent Newsmax interview, Trump claimed, without evidence, that Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, were illegal and destroying the town. He even went so far as to admit that while these migrants were here legally, they were illegal as far as I'm concerned. Such inflammatory rhetoric has been a constant in Trump's campaign strategy, designed to appeal to his most ardent supporters. Yet, with each passing day, these attacks seem less effective, as many voters are growing tired of Trump's endless cycle of blame-shifting and finger-pointing. Even figures within Trump's own party are beginning to push back. Christina Pushaw, the press secretary for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, recently had to address rumors spread by Trump regarding the handling of disaster relief funds in the wake of Hurricane Ian. Pushaw warned that spreading false information about emergency evacuations could put people's lives at risk, underscoring the dangers of Trump's disinformation tactics. Republican defectors and the struggle for the party's soul. As Trump continues to alienate moderate Republicans, more prominent GOP figures are distancing themselves from his campaign. Senator Mitt Romney has been one of the most vocal critics of Trump within the party. In a recent interview, Romney emphasized that Trump's disinformation campaigns pose as much of a threat to American democracy as foreign interference from nations like Russia and China. Romney's comments come as more Republicans, including former Trump administration officials, cabinet members, and military leaders, have openly criticized Trump's leadership and his unfitness for a second term. This growing chorus of dissent within the GOP could spell trouble for Trump as he heads into the final stretch of the campaign. As the 2024 election draws closer, Donald Trump's campaign is showing signs of unraveling. With Kamala Harris pulling ahead in the polls and absentee ballots already favoring Democrats, Trump's path to re-election is becoming increasingly narrow. His reliance on disinformation, migrant scapegoating, and attacks on the press may have worked in 2016, but in 2024, voters seem more wary of his tactics. While Trump continues to hide in his media bubble, refusing to face tough questions or confront the reality of his declining support, Harris is steadily gaining ground. Whether Trump can reverse his fortunes remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the American electorate is watching closely, and they're growing tired of the same old tricks. The 2024 election is shaping up to be a referendum not just on Trump's leadership, but on the future direction of the country. Will voters choose to continue down the path of division and disinformation, or will they embrace a new era of leadership under Kamala Harris? Only time will tell, but for now, Trump finds himself with his back against the wall, lashing out as his grip on power continues to slip.